All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's begin. I see a couple of my friends on here like Rob and Caesar. Good morning, gentlemen. I got OJ coming on. I can always rely on him to attend. Thank you, sir. Jumping on. I'm paying attention to see, make sure everybody gets into the system and we're able to chat it up. I'm going to open up my chat box as well. So while I'm talking, if there's anything that you guys want to say in there, please feel free to jump in the chat box and joining us. I'm going to bring my trusty whiteboard to the forefront here because we're going to be writing up some stuff today. And so kind of what I feel like we should be really digging into November 12th, right? It's November 12th. By the way, November 21st, I know everybody's coming. I saw everybody raise their hand and say, but November 21st, we've got our big Tom Ferry event, 260 something tickets already locked in. We're trying to get to 600, so feel free to share it out to the world and let everybody know that we're coming in strong, and we're bringing Tom Ferry to the table, which is going to be absolutely insanely awesome, you know. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen Tom Ferry live. I'm sure you've run into a million of his sponsored ads, but Tom Ferry live is absolutely phenomenal. And so the way he does his events with us, this will be the fourth year in a row that we work with Tom Ferry on the New You Real Estate Conference. And the way that he does his events with us is he'll take the stage and we'll keep him on the stage for about 4 hours, guys. So it's going to be pretty insane. It's going to be a lot of good stuff. We're going to have some really good producers flying in from all over the country. We've got folks coming in from New York, New Jersey, and Florida to take the stage. And the reason I like to do that is because you guys attend so many events locally with your local heroes, right? Your local top producers that are giving you information. And I'm a big believer in thinking outside of your bubble, like just thinking outside of the neighborhood that you sell. And so we bring some folks from around the country. We fly them in, people who do business with New World Title and are really big producers. And we fly them in and we put them up in a hotel and we give them the opportunity to give you what they're seeing in their markets and how they operate in their markets. And a lot of times what happens is, because you're working in your market specifically, you a lot of times do the same thing that and that you've seen done, right? And so we try to bring an added perspective to that and bring it to the table. So you're going to see a lot of great stuff. It's sort of a long day, but not really. Registrations will begin at 9 a.m. And then we're going to go till about 4 p.m. And that's it. We're going to provide lunch. It's going to be phenomenal. And we're going to be in good shape. So looking forward to seeing everybody there next week. It'll be the first time you guys see me in a frantic phrase because it's kind of like I'm the main kind of coordinator of the show. So I run around that place like a chicken without a head, but it'll be fun. And then catch me at the happy hour afterwards and I'll be way more calm by then. Okay. All right. So November 12th, super excited. By the way, if you've joined us and you don't have a camera on, dude, turn on your camera, right? I want to be able to like see you guys and get the vibe. I want to feel some energy from you guys. So let's get some cameras on. Caesar, if you're driving, you're okay. You can don't, stay alive, brother. Stay alive. We need you. Brendan says, I ordered my ticket, never received it in the email. Mike, if you could just kind of confirm. Thank you. He's confirming with you in the chat. So Brendan, you wouldn't have received a actual ticket or QR code or anything like that. When you get your ticket, we have your name on there. And you should have received the text message confirmation. And honestly, that would have been good enough, right? So once you get to the table, you give your name, they're going to go ahead and pull you in, okay? All right, so what do I want to talk about today? All right, Michael says you're in, Brendan, so you're good to go. He found your name. All right, so what I want to talk about today is the 135 method. I'm sure you've heard this method before, but we are November 12th. In my opinion, we should have started business planning 2025 back in October, but most people don't. And so we're going to talk about it now. It's November. You got still the entire rest of the month of November and December to really like solidify what 2025 is going to look like. Here's the thing, right? Everything we're doing now is going to pay us later. Right. So we just happen to be in that business that we sell something, we don't get instant gratification, right? We put up a house on the market, we get a contract on that house, we sell it, but we have to wait till it goes through an entire process. It sometimes can take up to 45 days. In some cases, sometimes quicker on the 30 days. And other times, some of these things will last 60, 70 days, right? And so it's until that happens and then that check clears that we're not actually getting a commission check, right? And so whatever we're doing today is going to pay us some time in December, January, or February. And the reason I say December, January, February is because it depends what stage of the process you're on, right? Like, are you in the lead stage? Are you in the client stage? Are you in the contract stage? Right? Are you at the pre-close stage? Like, which one of these, right? And then, of course, there's 2 additional stages, close, and then there's post-close. But by this time, you're already paid, right? But depending where you are in the stages depends when you actually get paid on something, right? So when we look at this and we go, cool, if I'm in the lead stage, well, shit, I still have to turn these guys into clients and stuff. This is 60 to 90 days out. If they're an actual client and I'm showing them properties, this could be 45 to 60 days out. If I'm under contract, this could be what is it? Maybe 30 days or less, right? And if I'm in pre-close, we're talking, 5 days or less. And then if I'm in post-close, we've closed. So we got a big green check there. And then, of course, post-close is that follow-up game, right? Where we're going to go ahead and work on this follow-up to try and gain more business. So depending where you are in the process will tell us basically when we're going to get paid on this deal. So if you're here with some people, you're not looking to get paid until January, February. That's 2025 already. So we should be doing this right here is 2025. This right here is potentially 2025, right? And then this right here, sometimes we have no control over that. And what you're going to start to see in the holidays is some sellers are going to go, hey, listen, I'm happy to get under contract here in late November, early December. However, I'm not ready to move till after the holiday because I got 100 people coming to visit me for the holiday, or we're going to be doing a crazy Christmas party, or we got a gathering at my house, or simply, I just don't want to deal with that during Christmas break, right? And so some of these folks are going to go happy to go under contract, but I'm not closing till first week of January, right? Or I'm not closing till, 10 days after January begins, the new year begins. And so that's going to happen in some cases, okay? And that'll give you, there's different ways to kind of combat that. Yes, that sounds great. We can close and do a post-occupancy. Those are my favorite ways to do these. Why? Because I get paid, right? At the end of the day, right? When it closes, I get paid so we can handle that post-occupancy. So what we tell the seller is, hey, no problem. Why don't we go ahead and close now in December? And then we'll get you a post-occupancy till January 10th or 15th, right? And that way you can stay in the house, you pay a little rent for being there during that time, and everybody gets to peacefully move. You have all your money in the bank. You get to make whatever moves you want to make after that. And that's a big win. And it's usually the big selling factor there is you get to stay in the house and you have all your money in the bank, right? So, what I don't like to do is have a file ready to close and then push that file out 10, 15 days because the seller's not ready, right? Because anything could happen. Anything could happen, right? Dude could get a pink slip on Christmas Day. Sorry, man, you're fired. And that's it. Done deal. Because the lender's going to re-verify this person right before they close, right? And so when a file is ready to close, I work to convince my clients that that file is ready to close, okay? So these are just some of the things you can do. And so ideally, what are we talking about here? We're talking about getting into a position to start business planning for what's to come. Where do I want to be in 2025? What do I want to accomplish? Let me get that stuff in order, okay? So that when I get that stuff in order, I can 100% focus on achieving that goal in 2025. Again, whatever you want to accomplish in Q1, first quarter, 2025, January, February, March, right? You got to start doing today. Okay, so what is the 135? All right, it's a very simplistic way of creating a business plan, right? It's one big goal. Okay, and then once you have that one big goal, you have 3 key priorities that achieve that one big goal, right? So key priorities. And then what you have after that is 5 action steps for every priority. So 5 action steps for each priority. Okay, so one big goal, whatever that is, okay, 3 key priorities, and then 5 action steps for each priority. This is a very, very simplistic way of creating a business plan. Very simplistic way. So here's how you're doing this, right? Let's say the first thing I'm going to work on is a financial goal. Let's say I'm financially driven. First thing I'm going to work on is a financial goal. And I want to earn $150,000 next year. Okay. That's my one big goal. Okay. So and we're like kind of a small group here, so feel free to unmute yourself and join in on the conversation. Okay. If this is my 1, now I got to focus on my 3. And then we're going to go with the 5s, and we'll tap into that in a second. Actually, let me rewrite this in a different way. Make it better. Okay, so my one big goal is to make $150,000 next year. What do you guys think would be 3 key priorities, or give me one key priority that I absolutely need to focus on in order to achieve a $150,000 income goal for next year? Feel free to unmute yourself and join in.
Can you hear me, Dave?
I can.
What I do when you have a goal like that is figure out the number of units that I need to sell to achieve that amount. Does that make sense? You know, like,
Yeah.
How many houses do I need to sell? You know, do those calculations, do the math, and then figure out, okay, I need to sell 25 houses, and then work it from there.
All right, I'm glad you brought that up. So here's what we're going to do. It's a $150,000 goal, right? And we're going to say, what's the average price point I sell in, like my market, right? Caesar, what's the average price point over there in San Antonio for you guys?
$317,000.
317?
Yes.
Okay. So $317,000. By the way, your average price point might be different. You might be on here, your average price point could be 4, it could be 500. You need to know what you sell, who your market is, right? Okay. But we're just using the average across San Antonio. Caesar was gracious enough to give that. What's the average commission payment over there? Is it 2.5? Pretty much?
3% still.
3% or 2.5? What are you guys thinking?
No, we're still rocking 3%.
You're still rocking 3%? Awesome. All right. So let's say at 3%, that means that each sale awards me $9,510. So let's do this, right? Average price, $317,000 at 3% gives me $9,510 each sale. Okay. All right. That means if I want to do $150,000 in business, divide that by $9,510, I need to sell 15.77 homes. Now, I think it's safe for us to round this up to 16 homes, right? Okay. Now I could dig into this even deeper, and I love this. 16 homes divided by 12 months means I need to move 1.3 homes a month. If I know I need to move 1.3 homes a month, I can now work the numbers on how many people I need to be in communication with, how many people I need to meet with personally, how many people I need to call, and how many leads I need to have in my system to achieve this goal. Does that make sense to you guys? And once I do that, right? So let's say I take this and then I go, how many meetings do I need to have per month? How many calls do I have to make per month? And how many leads I need to have to make those calls per month? Okay. Once I know this, this is the perfect setup to priority number 3. Priority number 3 is going to be, let me move this over a little bit. Or priority number 2, I'm sorry, priority number 2 out of the 3 is going to be make calls. Here, I get to determine how many calls I need to make next year and break that down all the way to a daily basis. Think about that for a second, right? So if I come back here and I go, in order for me to sell 1.3 homes, right? 1.5 homes, let's call it that, okay? I need to meet with at least 3 people because I know that I have a 60% ratio of conversion, okay? So I need to go on 3 appointments to convert either a buyer or seller to convert up to 1.3, right? In order for me to go on 3 appointments, okay? Actually, let me move that because that goes here with meetings per month, right? So for me, a meeting is different types of appointments, listing appointments, buyer appointments, whatever it is, investor meetings, new home sales, whatever it is, right? Number of calls per month. How many people do I need to call in order to get in front of 3 solid people a month, right? Well, I'm going to multiply that by 50, and I'm going to get 150 calls. And then I'm going to multiply that by 3 times, which means I need to have 450 people to call. Okay? By the way, the fun part about this, all right, the fun part about this is that when you run these numbers and you really break them down, is it really that scary for us to say, I need to make 150 calls a month, therefore, I'm going to divide that by 4 weeks, and I'm going to divide that by 5 days, and that's going to be 7.5 actual conversations I need to have a day. Is that scary? That's not scary at all, right? When you break it down, it just makes massive sense. So you know that if you make 7.5 real conversations every single day, 7.5 real conversations every day that lead to you wanting to meet with somebody or get in front of them for some of their real estate needs, that's 7.5. If you just accomplish that every single day, 7 to 8 calls a day, 7 to 8 calls a day, you know that mathematically you can get into front of 3 people a month minimum, probably more, right? Because the more you make these calls, the better you get at them. And so if I get in front of 3 people a month, I know that I can either list or help them buy a home, and that's going to help me accomplish my 1.3 a month, right? And by the way, 1.3 a month means 1 a month until the 3rd month that you got to sell 2, and then 1 a month until the 3rd month you got to sell 2, right? So it's like 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2. If you do the math on that, you get to 16 homes. And if you hit 16 homes at the average price point of $317,000 at 3%, you make $150K next year. The fun part about this is that when you look at 7.5 real conversations a day, kind of chuckle at it. And if you chuckle at 7.5 and you multiply that by 2 and you go, can I have 15 real conversations a day? If I run the numbers all the way up, we double down on everything. If I can have 15 real conversations a day, that'll probably get me in front of 6 people. Therefore, I'd probably be moving 3 homes a month. Therefore, I'd probably be making somewhere closer to $300,000 next year. And when you can chuckle at that, when you can look at it and go, 15 calls a day is really not that crazy. Now, again, I don't want you to think this is an easy thing. This is 15 actual conversations, which means that you might call 50 people before you get 15 on the phone. Could be 100 one day. One day, nobody picks up their damn phone, right? But it's 15 actual conversations. 15 conversations is making $300,000 next year. How crazy is that? 15 a day, 5 days a week. I'm not even putting you to make phone calls Saturday and Sunday. And if we remove holidays, you're still kind of safe. Because there's really not a whole lot of holidays that would completely destruct everything that you got going on. The only thing that would destruct your plan is not making the calls. That's it. And you'll feel that, by the way, right? You'll feel that, by the way, right? So we know, right? So we get three key priorities. Number one is I need to know how many units I need to move. Number two is making those calls. And the third one, what do you think it could be? You guys feel free to unmute. So we know unit numbers and we know we got to make the calls. We've already figured out the entire process for calling and how many we got to make. So what would be my three key priority?
I'm kind of blanking, but I was going to say for when I reverse my numbers on my investment business, I then go into the cost of how much it's going to cost me to pull the data and then call all those numbers. And then
right. So that you would put into your action steps for each priority. So gotcha. On the 135, right, you got the big goal, then you got the three main priorities, and then you got the action steps for each one, right? So in this one, we kind of pulled all the action steps, and then under make calls, you can add action steps such as, where am I going to get these leads to make these calls? What's my cost analysis to that, right? Am I using my sphere of influence? Do I have enough of a sphere of influence, right? Because honestly, most of you probably have more than 450 phone numbers in your phone. Right? So the opportunity exists, right? So what would be another key priority that takes me to earning $150,000 a year? Anybody?
Probably doing it consistently, Dave. You can't
all right, so
done, right?
Yeah, so consistency, I would still put under action steps. So like under the second one, which is making calls, I would put my consistency in there, right? I would say, all right, so this happens every day from this time to this time, and that would be one of my action steps. How about we just add, and I think what's happening is everybody's so focused on 150 a year. I need this many units and this many calls. How about we just say host 4 events? Key priority, 1 per quarter. Right? What are those 4 events? Maybe 1 client appreciation if you have enough clients. And then your other 3 events could be market update events. Honestly, what would it cost you to get a small space that you could fit 50 people in, right? And then call 50 people in a market area that you want to serve and say, hey, we're doing an in-person market update on what's happening in the real estate market and what the home value is in your neighborhood. And I'd like to personally invite you to this. We're going to have bagels and coffee and donuts and, feel free to bring your kids, not a problem. Like, what would it cost to do that? Probably almost nothing. Right? And so if you held these, do you think, right? And yes, you're going to have room for 50 people. And yes, your first event is only going to have maybe 5 or 6 people at it, right? But those 5 or 6 people, if you do a great presentation and give them enough value, they'll be back next quarter, and they'll be back the quarter after that. They're going to tell their neighbors about it, and you're going to keep making calls and knocking on doors to get people there. So by the time you do your 4th event, your 3rd or 4th event, you've got 40, 50 people there. Now you're the agent that knows how to move that market. You're the agent that understands the pricing in that area. You're the agent that knows what businesses are opening up in that space. You're the agent that knows what's negatively impacting home value and what's positively impacting home value in that market area, right? Now, if I look at this, I go, okay, great. We can take this to our 5 action steps. Plan events. Find a consistent location. Choose market area. Right? Impact studies. because you got to study for this. You never want to show up not ready. And then what happens is somebody else shows up in that audience and they know more about the neighborhood than you do. That's the last thing you want, right? You're going to hand out every home that was sold in the last 90 days. You're going to hand out average price point in the area. You're going to hand out average price point per style of home. How much the 2 bedrooms are going for, the 3 bedrooms, the 4 bedrooms, the 5 bedrooms, right? If you got a pool, how does that impact, right? What new restaurants are in the area? Hand out a list, right? What construction is happening? Is there highway construction that's impacting, showings in the area, so less units are moving? All of that stuff matters, right? Know what's happening in the city, know what's happening on the highway, know what's happening with transportation, know what's happening in the area, know what's happening with, if it's a gated community, what's happening with the actual board and community. Know the budget, ask the board, hey, can I share the budget at my meeting? It's a public document to all the homeowners, right? So ask them. We're going to have homeowners here if it's a gated community, right? If they're paying HOA fees for this, right? So these are a part of how you get your 5 action steps for each and every priority. Caesar mentioned it earlier for the make calls section, right? Action steps. What days, times, who, how. These are big pieces, right? So in my opinion, and in the opinion of many, many high-level producing agents, okay, the best time to make your calls is first thing in the morning, 9 a.m. to about 11 a.m., 12 noon. That's your time frame. If you try to make these calls at 3 p.m., 4 p.m., 5 p.m., first of all, people don't want to hear from you. Second of all, your cylinders are not firing on all 4. It's just not working, right? And so what happens is you sound tired on the phone. Notice I'm not giving you this presentation sitting down, because if I gave you this presentation sitting down, my energy level would be completely different, right? So all of these phone calls are made standing up, right? My call team, they get on the phone, chairs move to the back of the room, right? This is how we make calls, standing. This is how we present ourselves, standing, right? So we do this at a very high level. These are your 5 steps. And then here, for income, we made the 5 steps here. Now, here's the cool thing about this. All of this was only designed for the big goal of $150,000. The big goal could have been, I want to move 25 properties next year, right? Or a big goal could be, I want to level up my average price point. Instead of doing 317,000, I want to do 600,000 homes, right? And then you would think, okay, so in order for me to sell $600,000 homes average, that's my one big goal. What are the 3 key things, key priorities that I need to keep in mind in order to achieve that? And for each priority, give yourself action steps to make it happen. You want to lose weight. You want to hit the gym. You want to be stronger. You just want to be thinner. You want to run more. You got a plan to run a triathlon at the end of the year. It all 100% works the same way. The cool part about this is that you can piece this together as a true business plan. This is just one part of the business plan, right? And then what happens is once you identified each of your big goals and you've identified the 3 key priorities for each one and planned the action steps for each of those priorities, you now have a complete business plan. Everything from self-development to income strategies to how many homes you're going to move to how many people you need to talk to where you're going to get that information from to when it's going to be done. And then once you have that all completely planned out, written out, and really clean, you can transfer a lot of this right to your calendar. So you can go to your Google Calendar or your Outlook calendar, your Yahoo calendar, whatever calendar you're using. You could go right to that calendar and you can input. These are the days and times that I've decided to make calls. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 9 a.m. to 11 or 12 or whatever you choose to do. Who am I calling, right? Because we said who. Well, maybe Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I'm calling my sphere of influence, Power 8, and maybe lead flow that comes in from a system that I'm using. And on Thursdays, I only call my past clients, friends, and family. And on Fridays, I call somebody else, whatever the case is, or I call FISBOs and expires, whatever your business style is, right? But you get to now dynamically put them in place and know exactly what you're doing every single day. One of the faults that we have as real estate professionals is many of us don't plan accordingly for what we intend to do the upcoming year. And yes, there's always going to be things that shift and move around, and that's okay because your business plan can be and will be fluid, right? So like, perfect example, you're a guy, you got a girlfriend, and you got this real big, extensive plan. And in January, she goes, "Hey, I'm pregnant. We're having a baby at the end of the year," right? That business plan may have to shift a little bit. Like you're going to have to make some more money. And there might be an inclusion of having to move into a different place in that business plan, right? Like there are certain things that will make your life fluid because life happens. Life doesn't hear or read your business plan. It's just going to happen to you, right? And so you just got to stay as committed as possible to the plan that you have in front of you because time really does fly by. I don't know how you guys feel, but this year flew by. Like I can't even believe it's November right now, right? And next year, listen, it doesn't go any slower, okay? Time runs at the same exact speed all the time. So, that's the one thing that we can guarantee on. So what I encourage you guys to do is to take this 135, take this method, okay? And I want you to please, and by the way, Mike, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Mike, would you mind taking the actual presentation that we created for the 135, put it inside of a Google Drive, make it shareable to everybody? And when you send this video out to by text to everybody, go ahead and put a link for them to download this actual presentation so that they can read through the presentation as well. Will you do that for me?
Yeah.
Okay. And you'll see like some goals can be increased revenue by 20%. Like whatever your goals are going to be. Brendan says he does investments. It could be flip 10 houses. It could be wholesale 30 homes. It could be, and you're going to have a plan for that. Bandit signs, drive-bys, like calls, all this other stuff. You're going to have systems that you pay for that tell you who's in foreclosure, right? And who's hurting and who needs help and so forth and so on, and who you can give an opportunity to move, right? If you like to hold, like these are all things like I'm going to buy 4 houses next year for hold, right? Like that's the win. Those are the wins. I was told a long time ago, Brendan, I don't know what your business looks like, but I sat down with a client of mine that owned 400 doors at the time when I was working with him. And he said to me, he said, "Dave, I used to be a big flipper. He used to flip about 600-700 homes a year around the country." And he sat down with a friend of his who had a huge portfolio. And his friend goes, "How's the business?" He goes, "It's great. I'm fucking rich. I'm flipping homes all the time." And he told him, "Yeah, I can see how you're rich, but you know what? You're not wealthy."
I'm currently trying to get that flip going into building the wealth instead of just this is awesome cash. So,
Right.
exactly.
And I just want to drop that message because I think that was the most profound statement that guy said out loud. Although we know it, we all know that we can build wealth through real estate, right? But that instant cash feels amazing, right? So the first time you buy that home that's meant for a flip and you go, "I might hold this one," and instead of making 30 grand on the one flip, you make $300 a month on a hold. It's very painful, but I'll tell you what, you do that 10 times, 15 times, 20 times. It's an incredible, incredible way to really live an abundant life over time. Okay. All right, guys, any questions for me on the 135 business plan? All right, so what I'm going to give you guys is a challenge, right? I challenged you guys today to come up with whatever your, let's say, top 5 big goals are, and then start breaking them down and start implementing them into your calendar so that you start working on the plan now. Don't wait till January 1st. January 1st is going to pay you in Q2, right? So whatever you're doing now is going to pay you first quarter of next year. So start putting the plan into implementation today and start winning big today. Thank you guys for joining us. Again, we'll see you guys at Tom Ferry. If you guys got listings, make sure you have New World Title on there. If you need anything from me directly, please feel free to reach out to me directly. I'm going to type my email inside of the chat and just take a screenshot of that. It's david@newworldtitle.com. That's nuworldtitle.com. And whatever we can help you with on the title side, super stoked to be able to do that for you. If you have you guys downloaded our app yet? Do you guys have our app? All right,
Use
cool.
it for every open house. That home
Awesome.
report's crazy.
Oh, that's awesome, man. I'm glad to hear that. Glad to hear that. All right. If you need the app, by the way, if you're listening but not chatting, if you need the app, is nwttexasapp.com. NWT for New World Title, Texas, and app.com. You can download our app right there. All right, guys. Thanks very much for joining us. I appreciate you. And I will see you guys second Tuesday of every month. But I'm going to see you next week in San Antonio with Tom Ferry.
Yes, sir. God bless.
God bless, brother. See you soon.